Can you think of one person in your life right now that is causing you pain? Or somebody that's pretty much the cause of an unfortunate circumstance in your life? If the answer is yes, this episode is for you. I have something pretty important I want to share with you that I know is going to help you out a lot. You're listening to episode 11 of
The Gold Mine Podcast.
As women, we have to invest that time in getting to understand who we are.
Be ambitious, be bold, create the life of your dreams. This is the Gold Mine Podcast with your host, Adrian Dion.
What's up, everybody? It is a beautiful day here in San Diego. I mean, gorgeous. The sun is shining. It's about 79 degrees outside. Oh my gosh. I do not miss the weather in the South. I just don't. I'm sorry. I hope everybody is having an awesome day today. I just want to say I am so excited to be able to do this every single week, to come here and talk with you guys. I really didn't understand how awesome this would be before I started it. And now that I'm in it, I really enjoy it. I mean, each week I'm motivated. I'm ecstatic to come on and talk with you guys and to share with you guys. It edifies me and I just love it. So I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. Before jumping into the show today, I wanted to talk to you guys about a few things. When I first started this podcast, it was very important for me to be able to connect to all of my listeners. And I wanted to create a kind of community for self-improvement that when I was on my journey, I couldn't find. So recently I've been working on doing that, and I've been creating a lot of things that I think that are going to be very beneficial for all of you. So I would like to extend an invitation to join me for a more intimate experience by joining my email list. When you do that, you'll automatically get access to my private Facebook group. And in that Facebook group, we do a lot of great things. Starting in July, for instance, I'll be going live every single week, and we'll be diving deeper into some of the topics we talk about here on the podcast, but also you'll be able to ask me any questions, and we'll be able to talk about things that you guys want to talk about on a deeper level. It will also connect you with other like-minded people, other people who are on their journey to self-improvement and goal achievement. And so it's important, like we talked about last week, to be in an environment that is set up for growth and success. And so by joining this community, you'll be doing exactly that. In the very near future, I'm going to be doing a lot more workshops. I want to start doing some meetup groups and also create some bonus videos and other resources, all free, that's going to be able to help you on your journey to your goals. So I encourage you, go ahead and join the email list today so we can start really connecting and really doing the work that's necessary for everybody to evolve into their best selves. I don't know if you guys can tell it in my voice, but I am so excited about all the things that are coming up, all the things that I've been working on. I'm super excited about it. So you guys can find all that information about how to sign up for the email list in the show notes. The other thing that I wanted to tell you guys is that the July enrollment for my coaching program is now open. And so I usually open it 2 weeks before the start date. And so I would really encourage anybody who is looking for more clarity, who's looking for accountability, who's looking for help with managing their minds and creating a mindset that's beneficial for growth and success, or if you're just needing help creating some structure in your life, this program is for you. It's something that I take so much pride in because I know that it's a gift from God that He's placed inside of me to be able to help so many other people, and to be able to see that fruit is just an amazing thing. And so, if that's something that you're looking for, I'm telling you, this program is amazing. And I encourage you to sign up for a mini session. And in that mini session, basically what we do is a free coaching session, actually. So we get on the phone, we talk about some of the things that you're struggling with. I help you right then and there so you're able to get more clarity on some of the problems, the struggles and the mental things that are going on. And then I explain a little bit more about the program and what it offers. You get to ask me any questions that you want. And then if you feel like it's something that you want to move forward with, I'll send you the proposal and contracts and all the information about signing up after the call. And so there is no commitment to the mini session. It's completely free. It takes about 15 to 30 minutes, and that's it. And so if you're interested in doing that, which I highly encourage, if you're ready, and this program it's all about results. It's not a motivational thing. I'm not here to pry you, to motivate you and inspire you to do something. It's for people that are ready, that are really ready to take action. And we do weekly assignments, and everything is customized to your specific goals. And we get results in the Gold Mind Coaching Program. Let me tell you, we get results. And so if you're interested, all of that information will be in the show notes. You don't have to look for anything. There are direct links to every single thing in the show notes. See how I set you guys up? I love you. All right, let's jump into the show. When I look back at my journey and my transformation, I believe that one of my biggest breakthroughs came when I realized I was living in victimhood. So many people have a victim mentality and don't even know it. The problem with that is when you're living and operating your life from a victim mentality, you're giving all your powers away to other people to determine how you feel. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that our feelings drive our actions and ultimately give us the results that we have in our life. And so what I'm saying is you're giving all your power away to others to determine the results you get in your life. I want to tell you about a situation that happened to me the other day that'll kind of hopefully help you see where I'm coming from when I say this. I live in an apartment complex here in San Diego that has a gated community and also has assigned parking spots. It's really, really important here at the community, at the complex, that everybody parks in their assigned parking spots. They're really strict about it. And if you don't, your car will get towed. Recently, I've been having a lot of issues with people parking in my parking spot. I guess because I work night shifts and a lot of times my car is not here at night. And so there is a visitor's parking lot, but it's so far away. And so it's just inconvenient for me to do all of that, especially in the morning after working a 12-hour shift. And so last week there were 2 consecutive days that this happened. And so the second day I was just like, okay, this is just a bit much and I'm just going to have to do what I have to do. So I called and I got the car towed. And then when I woke up, I had a letter on my car. And I just want to read it to you guys. It reads, "To the person who had my car towed, to whom it may concern, I'm a resident here as well, and someone parked in my spot last night. I arrived at home at 1:30 a.m. and this spot was open. I apologize for being in it, but for towing my car, you gotta be kidding me." All of that was capitalized, by the way, and in big bold letters, all that extraness. Next time, leave a note and not make me spend $300 of money I don't have. So for somebody to write and leave that note, like they literally think that they are not in the wrong in this situation. And I am just appalled. I was so shocked that day when I read that note. I just couldn't believe it. You guys, she told me to leave a note. And you know how I always talk about being proactive. If I had come there and saw a note on the door or the window that said, "Hey, I know I'm parked in your spot, but before you get my car towed, please call this number and I'll come down and move it," I would have done that. I really would have, because it was really an inconvenience waiting on the tow people to come out and move the car. I would have been proactive. But yet this person is full on You did this to me. How could you do this to me? I don't have any money. Blah, blah, blah. And it is complete nonsense. One of the main characteristics of victimhood is blame. Most people don't really see it as blame, though. They just see it as everything is happening to me is because of somebody else's fault. You know, that whole thing, this person said this to me and it made me feel like that. You know, I can't do this because such and such didn't bring what I needed, and now I'm not able to do and follow up with my plans. You know, traffic was horrible and because of it, I'm late. Like, all of those things are blaming other people, and you, my friend, are operating out of victimhood. People operating from that victim mentality complain a lot. They're negative. They bathe, like literally bask in self-pity and why me. They feel trapped and they feel like they don't have any control. And they are always the victim of their own story. You guys, I heard this guy talking the other day in Walmart, and he was saying how he couldn't get a job because his mom wouldn't let him get the car. And he was like, yeah, man, she just want to see me broke. She just want to see me down, man. I was like, really? When I asked you those questions at the beginning of the show, if there was somebody in your life you felt like you was the reason for your pain, or that's causing you a lot of trouble, or your, unfortunate circumstances, if you said yes to those, or if you felt the need to defend yourself just now, but like, no, you don't understand my situation though. I'm sorry to tell you, but you are in victimhood. You live there, and I want you to get out. So we gonna free you from victimhood today. In full Alabama accent, we gonna do that today, okay? When you say that what somebody said or what somebody did to you made you feel a certain way, I want you to understand and remember that all of your feelings come from your thinking. And so it's not really someone making you feel a certain way, but the way you made whatever they did or said mean, that in turn evoked a certain feeling from you. If you change how you think about it, your feelings will also change. And I love that, because that means to me there is nothing no one can say or do, or there's nothing anyone can say or do that can determine how I feel. And that is powerful. I want to give you an example of what I mean about what the way you think about things people say can determine your feeling, because I really want you to get this and understand that you have the power. So a couple weeks ago, we had a guest on Soledad, and she was talking about how when she was in her graduate program, she was not focused. She had so much going on the outside, and she wasn't doing her best in the classroom. And one of her graduate teachers told her that she had a learning disability. And initially, it devastated her. And if we look at what I just taught, the reason was because she held that teacher as an authority figure and as an expert. And so in her mind, whatever he said had to be true, right? And so because she believed what he said to be true, it in turn devastated her and made her feel a certain way, because she thought, okay, I must have a learning disability. Now, this can work in the other way as well, because people can say things and mean one thing, but the way you think about them and the way you interpret what that person said can create a whole different feeling than what the person initially intended for it to do. So, for example, growing up, or even now, I hear people say things like, oh, you're really pretty for a dark-skinned girl. Like, okay. Or they'll say, I like the way you looked before you lost all the weight. And so depending on how I make that mean, I'm pretty sure that when somebody says, oh, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl, they're intending for it to be a compliment. Or when someone says, I like the way you looked before you lost weight, I could make that mean, okay, so you're saying you don't like the way I look now. You think I don't look good now. So depending on what I make that mean determines the feeling that I get from it. If you don't get anything else out of this episode today, understand the power you have in letting people be who they are and do whatever they want to do and say whatever they want to say without letting it phase you and change how you feel by managing your thoughts. Now, I already know a lot of you might be listening and saying, that's making me a doormat. I'm not going to let people say and do whatever they want to me, and I'm not going to say anything. Please know. I am not suggesting you be anyone's doormat. I'm not suggesting that you let people walk all over you. But if you really think about it and just really be open-minded with me right now, if you think about it, in my opinion, I believe that we're more like doormats when we allow what somebody else says to devastate us and to get us all out of whack because you literally give them all of your power. That doesn't mean that you tuck your tail and run or you choose not to respond. It just means you choose not to use your energy to respond in a way that's out of anger or in a revengeful way because you're securing yourself. And you know that you choose what you accept and not accept into your space. And you're the only person responsible for your feelings. A while back, I was at Walmart and in the parking lot, and you know how you're at the very end where like Walmart is right in front of you and you're at the end of that aisleway? And there was a white guy in a big pickup truck, and he was trying to turn in so that he could park in a handicap spot, but it really wasn't a handicap spot. You know how like there's the blue lines, but then on the side of it is the sideway lines for like handicap wheelchairs, level things for you to be in that space. He was trying to park in that. And I was like, that's not a parking spot. And he wanted me to bag up so he could fit in. And I was having a pretty bad day that day. Like I was angry about something and he was just fueling that fire. Oh my gosh. He was like yelling out the window, cursing at me, calling me a C word, and like just wanted me to get out of the way. And it was like he was bullying me. That's what I was thinking in my head. And I was like, this is exactly, I'm pretty sure I had been watching something on the news with some white supremacists. And I was like, he's not going to win this. I'm not going to move. Like, I was so angry. And I'm an Aries. So the angrier I get, I cry. Like, because I'm really wanting to kill at this point. And it was turning into a whole thing, you guys. Like, it was literally a whole thing. And then I remember this lady walking up to my car, and she was like, baby, just let him have it. He's an idiot. He's going to park there and get a parking ticket. Everybody sees that he's an idiot. Just let him have it. And I'm bawling at this point. Like, I am crying and I am upset. And I'm like giving him all my power because it's like the more he saw me do that, it was just, he just went all in. And at that point, I was giving him my power. He was determining my actions at that point. And even if we want to play the victim, I'm pretty sure we're not wanting to give the perpetrator our, power. Fast forward to my last trip to Thailand. I was at the airport because I was about to hop on the plane to go to another city. And we were all in the front, like walking into the airport, but there was a line. And I had just been kind of thinking about, the place where I was and how Thailand is known to be the land of smiles. And I mean, it was just a lot of like really happy people. They were super courteous and nice. And I was just saying, wow, this is so different from home. And in walks this white guy. I don't know what it is with me and white guys. I promise I'm not racist, but in comes this white guy, and he's obviously in a rush, and he's walking up, and we're all kind of like, we made our lines, but he's just coming on up to the front, and he comes and he stands by me, and we're like both walking in. So it's kind of like a Y. He's walking in, I'm walking up. He's walking up, I'm walking up. And then he just all of a sudden comes out and yells, well, yeah, just go ahead and get in front of me since you're in such a rush, since it's so important for you to get in front. Go ahead and get in front. And I was like, okay, have a good one. And that was it. I just smiled and that was it. I gave him nothing because I didn't care what he thought. I was just like, okay, obviously this dirtbag is in a rush and now he wants to take out all his anger on everybody else around him, but I'm not going to give him that. Like, I don't care what's going on with you. I'm in a good place right now. And I was able to keep my integrity. I was able to keep my joy, and he was the one who appeared to everyone else as the negative Ned that he was. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people out here that are plumb idiots and they're going to treat you bad for no reason. But you have to remember that those people say and do mean things because they're in a horrible place in their lives. And happy people, happy, positive people say really nice things and do nice things because of where they are in their life. A person's opinion or whatever they do or say has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. So now that you know this, what happens when someone says something and a negative emotion does come up, or somebody says something and it embarrasses you, or you're ashamed because of how the situation is unfolding? Now, I'm not asking you to pretend like you don't feel it or dismiss it or fake some type of positive response, because that's in no way healthy either. But I do want you to remember that that feeling you're having is because of a thought you're thinking and not because of that other person. The distinction is extremely important because with the first, you still have your power, you're still in control, and the latter, you're giving your power away and you're taking on that victim mentality. A lot of times we get angry or we want to retaliate because the thought actually believes what the person said. If somebody comes up to you and says, girl, I do not like your blue hair, you need to change that color, and you actually have black hair, you're going to look at them like they're crazy. You're going to be like, well, okay, that's a pretty interesting opinion you have there, and you're going to keep it moving. You don't believe it. You don't believe anything that they say. But if somebody comes up to you and says, girl, who did your hair? You never need to let her do your hair again, and you just had a horrible experience at the hair salon, you believe what they say, and your feelings, your actions are going to come from that thought. The thought behind the feeling you get is the thing you should address. Blaming the other person really gets you nowhere. It's just really a scapegoat for you to not acknowledge the feeling that you're having and not to deal with your thoughts. The other day I was getting ready for the gym, and whenever I'm in gym mode, I'm like a one-track mind. And Kadeem, my fiance, was trying to tell me a story about something that happened at work. And I was half listening, and he was saying something, and I kind of repeated him, but whatever I said was wrong. And he was like, you know what? Never mind. Don't even worry about it. And I was like, no, say what you said again. I heard you. I'm listening. And he was like, no, you're not. You're not listening. And I was like, yeah, well, you see that I'm trying to get ready for the gym. And so you want to talk, just walk with me throughout the house when, you're talking so I can hear. You see, I'm doing something. And he was like, you're so selfish. And I was like, I'm not. And then I stopped. And I was just like, here I am about to be defensive. Let me stop, not blame him, but look at my thoughts behind what he said and let me get a better understanding of what's happening. Yes, I was being selfish in the moment. I wanted him to conform to what I had going on, and I could have just taken 2 minutes to listen to what he had to say. He was not a big talker, so I could have just taken time to listen. I hadn't seen him all day. He was just trying to tell me something about work, yet I was selfish in the moment and thinking about my own thing. And so when we're able to look at our thoughts and not blame the other person, not come from that victim mentality, that's how we grow. That's how we become better. And that is how we break free from that victim mentality. In order to fix the victim mentality, in order to break free, you have to be vulnerable. Now, when a lot of people hear that word, they often think of it in a negative way. They think of it as not being able to guard yourself from others. But vulnerability is really being open and being willing to experience any emotion that comes up for you. That's it. It's not about putting a guard up for others. Instead, it's not putting a guard up against yourself. When you're willing to be vulnerable, you're willing to put yourself out there, and you won't be afraid to go through any experience because you know that there's not one emotion that's going to kill you. And there's not an emotion that will cause you to hide from yourself. I love to sing, but singing is one of the things that require you to be vulnerable. And for a long time, I was really afraid to do that because it opens you up to possible mistakes, making mistakes when you sing in public and in front of other people. And it also opens you up to criticism. And it's, again, not about what the people are saying, but what I make what the people say mean. And I just didn't want to deal with that. I was watching Super Soul Sunday the other day, and it had Tom Brady. Oprah was interviewing Tom Brady, and he was talking about when he was getting ready to go be drafted, how they do a report on you and how they were saying so many negative things. He didn't have a really good arm, that he was really small and didn't have a great build, that he wasn't going to be a really good person for most teams. I think he was like 199 out of like 200 and something. But he said he looked at all of those things and he took those things as things that he had to work on. He didn't take the victim mentality. He capitalized on those things. He became better because of those things. And now he's like won 5 Super Bowls. He's like so old. And he's still playing with 22-year-olds. And that just says a lot. So if you're willing to be vulnerable, you're willing to acknowledge the feelings and take a look at the thoughts behind them and deal with those thoughts, it all comes back to you in the end. And, you know, if you choose not to be vulnerable or willing to experience those feelings, then you hide from yourself and fear comes into play. If you really think about fear, people are more afraid of the emotion or the feeling that comes up with an experience rather than the actual thing. So like people are afraid to try out for a certain part because of rejection. And if you look at rejection, it's a feeling. They feel worthless. And so they're more afraid of not the no, but the feeling that comes up when they hear the no. Sometimes when my clients say they want to do something, but they're afraid or whatever, and I ask them, what's the worst that could happen? Most of the time they say that, you know, they'll fail. And then I say, then what would you do? And they would say they pretty much go back to doing what they're doing now. And so I'm like, so it's not really that bad. And they're like, no, it's really not that bad. So what are you afraid of? And it's just like, you know, for me, you know, I will have to go back to doing what I'm doing. It's that feeling that they're trying to avoid, that feeling of failure and that failure of worthlessness, or that feeling of having to face your coworkers after they've seen you quit your job and try to start your business and then have to come back. They don't want to, you know, their pride and their ego is in the way. And so those things are feelings. They're not really afraid of doing whatever. It's the feeling that they get from doing it. But when you're willing to be vulnerable and you're willing to experience the feelings, because feelings don't kill people. Feelings don't hurt anybody, you know? If you're willing to acknowledge those feelings and deal with those feelings, nothing will scare you. Nothing will stop you. Because you're like, okay, let's bring it on. I'm willing to put myself in this really intense risk-taking situation because I'm willing to feel the emotions of being afraid. I'm willing to feel all of the emotions that come up with this. Man, that's when life really begins. You will really open yourself and expose yourself to so much more. And even if it's not doing something, you know, you don't have to go bungee jumping in order to be vulnerable. But if you're just able to hear somebody's feedback and hear somebody's opinion of you and hear somebody, something that somebody's saying without being defensive, that takes strength. That takes braveness to do. I recently had an eval at work, and I've been a therapist for almost 10 years. I started in 2008. I want to say in my program, and I had a job in 2009, my first respiratory job. And I've always been noted for being such a really good therapist. And recently in my eval, I got a bad review because my communication skills. It's a lot different out here in California. And I'm trying to adjust. A lot of people find me aggressive just because I say whatever I'm thinking instead of being passive aggressive. But anyway, and so my supervisor was talking and saying all these things like, oh, you need to be a better communicator and you should do this and you should do that. And, I just sat there. I was like, I'm not going to be defensive. There were a lot of emotions that were coming up for me, but I sat there and I dealt with them and I looked at the thought behind them. And some of the things were true and some of them were not. But I was okay with not just defending myself. I was just like, I'll take what this person says to me. I'll sit with it. I'll make adjustments where needed, and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to dwell on it and how could they and, none of that. And that took a lot of strength for me. What a person says may bring up a lot of emotions, but if you can take responsibility for being the creator of that emotion because of the thinking that's created, whether what they're saying is true or not, just you are in the power position. And not only that, you'll be able to engage with that person and connect with that person no matter what. I can still show up to work and be my best. I can be more present with my fiance, even though he said I'm selfish. I can take that and I can work on that. You know what I'm saying? It allows you to evolve and be your best self. When you can find the thinking pattern that's creating the emotion and then change it, that done over and over again makes you better and better. And you can't discover that reason though if you aren't willing to be vulnerable with yourself. So here's what I want you guys to do this week. Look at your life and ask yourself, where am I unwilling to feel my emotions? Where am I avoiding it? What things aren't I doing or pursuing because I'm afraid of the feeling that may come up with that? What conversations am I unwilling to have because I don't want to feel the emotion that I'm going to create in having that conversation? Also, ask yourself, who am I blaming for how I feel? When I get angry, who am I blaming? When I feel sadness, who am I blaming? Am I blaming myself? Am I blaming other people? Where am I being vulnerable and open and willing to feel whatever comes up? And where am I not? Asking yourself those questions and then taking action is going to change everything for you, my friends. And I am so excited about that. Take 100% of the responsibility for how you feel today and every single day hereafter. All right, you guys, I'm over my 30-minute mark. Sorry about that. But if you guys enjoy this show, make sure you leave a comment, rate, and review the show. If you haven't already subscribed, do that also. I am excited about the next episodes coming up. And in July, we're going to be talking money bags. Money bags. We're going to be talking about finance and budgeting and investing and all that good stuff the entire month of July. You don't want to miss it. So make sure you subscribe to this show. And you guys, don't forget what I said earlier about joining the community, being committed to evolving into your best self. That's why we're here, you guys. This is what it's all about. And also, if you need some help managing your mind, if you want to do some deeper level work, make sure you set up a mini session with me. All of that information is in the show notes. I love you guys and have a great rest of your week. Bye.